Hi everyone, and today we're talking about healthy materials. Why are we talking about healthy materials? We do already know about the impact that buildings have on the environment. We know that energy consumption-wise, the building industry takes up about 50%, and it accounts for about 40% of the carbon dioxide emission. But from an energy standpoint, there's been a focus towards the embodied energy of building products as well. There's traditionally, we think a lot about energy consumption of buildings in terms of operations. But on day one of a building's lifespan, all of the energy consumption actually goes towards the building products. So in this chart, you can see that a 20-year-old building, the energy consumption of a 20-year-old building, 45% of that is still in the building products. So if we're meeting the 2030 challenge, we really need to start thinking about the embodied energy in our buildings and the products that we choose. The building industry extracts 3 billion metric tons of raw materials annually. That is just second after the food industry. So in terms of the food industry, you have the same extraction, processing before it gets to our tables. So for an apple, you extract it from the tree and it gets to the supermarket, it's still kind of an apple, you know what you're getting. But with the Twinkie, you start off with food-like products or ingredients, and then you add a bunch of additives and you have your Twinkie. But you probably will make a bad decision to have a Twinkie, but at least you know what you're getting into because you can see the ingredients list. You know you're having some yellow number 5. But what do we know about the impact of the building materials that we actually put in our buildings? There are 84,000 chemicals in the EPA inventory. Only 200 of those are required to be tested under the Toxic Substance Control Act. And of those 84,000, only 5 has been partially restricted. So in our environment, there's 84,000 chemicals out there, the majority of which we have no idea what it's doing to us or to the environment. And the most recent update is that only 19 more chemicals will be tested, and this is just tested in the next 5 years. Another issue is that it takes forever, the slide's a little fuzzy, but it takes forever from the time the risk is identified for a chemical to the point where it's regulated. So asbestos, the risk was identified in 1970. It took until 1989 for it to even be regulated. For this slide, it takes an average of 15 years for something to become regulated from the point where it is actually identified as hazardous to us. We spend 90% of our times indoors. Most of the time we can't see or feel the toxins that are around us. And also in the next 20 years, we are building 900 billion square feet of buildings worldwide. And that means New York City every 47 days. So imagine the impact we can make if we make better decisions.
So the current state of materials and health transparency, there are really like a plethora of rating systems or documents or tools or databases that relate to sustainability that you can't really see that are shown here. Honestly, I was just fatiguing making this slide because there were so many different varieties of information, and it can be very confusing and overwhelming. So you start to think, like, am I the only one that's doing this research? Am I, doing the same research as someone else? And couldn't there be a larger group that can contribute to this research and become a unified voice? So this is where the HMC comes into play. This is the Healthy Materials Collaborative, and it's a group of various firms, large and small, and it can be designers or architects, contractors, and even the Natural Resources Defense Council. We have representatives from them. All of these people come together and create a unified voice so that we can ask manufacturers to provide the transparency that we are requiring for our projects and for our specifications. So with the spirit of collaboration in mind, we like to say that if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And this very much informs our mission to work together, combine our efforts and collaborate with each other to share our ideas and resources and create this network that's going to speak with more power. The format of our HMC is currently, we have monthly meetings every Monday at noon. Usually the location changes from month to month for variety. We also have a number of committees. So we have anything from advocacy and regulation to events coordination, communications, implementation and analysis, and education. We also have a website, which we have currently as a blog format. We use this as a forum or somewhere so that we can collect information and recap events or show information all at once and share news with each other. Of course, there's also presentations and events. This was our very first event that we did, and this was our launch for the HMC. Weber Thompson has a really great courtyard that is perfect for outdoor events like this. So we decided it would be a great idea to get everyone together, have a happy hour, but also combine a panel discussion and get perspectives from all kinds of industry professionals, from anyone from designers to contractors to product reps, and get them all together and talk about how materials transparency affects them on a regular basis and how their role can make a difference in this effort.
The next event we put together was the Librarian Summit, where we put a call out to all the specifiers, or specifically the resource librarians in all of the local firms. And we have them come together and talk about the hurdles that they have to overcome, the obstacles that they're running into when they're trying to specify healthier materials. We had an attendance of 50 plus, representing about 20 firms. And you can see it was a huge discussion on what we can do, how we can set our goals, and what we can do to achieve those goals. And this is a mind map that came out of that discussion. It literally captured everyone's ideas. And I have a digital copy of this. The HMC is totally open source, so if you want a copy to get started, you can email, or you can go to the website and sign up to be a member, and this will be on there, or you can contact one of us. But as you can see, it starts off with, it identifies the goals that you can set, strategies to support those goals, tools existing, and that says still needed to help achieve those goals. So if you're interested in helping and being a part of this movement, we need someone to help with the tools needed part.
So another tool that the HMC has created is this cheat sheet. And so this is a really good reference if you need something at your desk when you're talking to a vendor, or when you're trying to figure out, what do I need to know about this PVC product, or, what is it about the recycled content that I need to remember? This is a really great resource. It also has an image of the label there from Mindful Materials. So this is a little bit of a checklist as well as you look at your materials. And in general, this just has a lot of information about certifications and terms that you might want to reference on a regular basis.
Quick interjection, there is a stack of these cards in the back for if you guys want to take one with you. You can also find this on the website.
So another tool that we've started to employ, we've adopted the Mindful Materials label and library. So this is a really great resource. If you haven't heard of it before, you should check out mindfulmaterials.com. It was started by a couple of people at HKS and is developed into a larger independent group that advocates for materials transparency. And what they've done is basically aggregated all of this information, and they're the holders of this database where you can add, and whoever wants to sign up and use this can add their information, or ask a manufacturer rather to add their information so that you have products in their database. So this is what their label looks like. Again, a really good checklist so that you can see at a glance what your product has in terms of these attributes. This is something that goes on your product binders or on your samples so that you can see whether it has an EPD or if it has an HPD or any of these other items that you might want to know. The other part of this is the cloud-based library. So this is something that's growing and really would grow at a much faster pace with more people signing up and using this tool. Right now there are, I think, 2,066 or so products listed in this database. You can search for anything from insulation to flooring to carpet, blah, blah, blah. And then once you click on one of those items, the next slide, you can see on the right side here all of the attributes that particular product has. So for instance, here it's declaring a number of things. So you see declare noted there 3 times. It also has an HPD and an EPD, and you can read all about it on both sides here have a ton of information about what this particular product might have. And then the third part of Mindful Materials is once you sign up as a user, you can gain access to their Google Drive, which has the label and other tools there so that you can start to implement this in your own materials library. So back to the HMC and using all of these tools together and getting everyone together to coordinate. This is what the website looks like currently. And for us, I think the HMC has really gotten us to inspire our own firms and create policies that change the way we practice on a regular basis.
So where I work, LMN, we're inspired to redefine our sustainability and material health goals. We've actually approached the partners and say, what is our goal? How can we get there? We held a spec hackathon to try to identify all the low-hanging fruits where we can eliminate toxicity out of our base spec so that it's already built in. We are, through the HMC, we're looking to adopt the Mindful Materials label. We also put together a list of kind of better alternative materials so that we can capture any potential VE cost prior to going to VE. We have a sustainability letter of intent to vendors indicating our policies and our aspirations. And also next week we're holding a Earth Day sustainability and material health event so we can implement these changes that has started.
So with the HMC in mind, Weber Thompson has adopted a new mission statement with clear goals about sustainability and how we want to move forward with our mission. We, like LMN, have also implemented a letter of intent to vendors, and we explain our sustainability goals here. Mindy is our sustainability coordinator. She's here in the back, and she's been really great about sending this out to all of our vendors. So far, there's about 85 of them that this letter has reached, and a lot of those reps are actually multi-line reps. So that means maybe even more than 85 manufacturers have theoretically been notified of what our intent is. Also at Weber Thompson, we've adopted this Mindful Materials label and are starting to roll this out in the beginning of June. So it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, but we're also going to be using this cloud-based library tool that Mindful Materials has created. One really big thing that we've done in our library is completely eliminating vinyl upholstery and just deciding that we weren't going to carry that at all in our library. Also, in-house, we have a green team that we call the sustainability team at Weber Thompson. You just have to say sustainability and just close your mouth at the end to get the M sound. And for our quarterly topic this month, it's heavily focused on materials research and transparency. A lot of other firms have kind of given us some information about how they are changing their policies.
Oops.
So, for instance, Miller Hole has mentioned that they have a firm-wide policy to eliminate 6 red list chemicals from their master spec. There's always a review process for every project in terms of sustainability and materials. And they definitely have a strict vetting policy for any rep that comes into their office. They need to know that they are providing at least something that is worthwhile and checks one of the boxes on that mindful materials label. And of course, it's always important to continue with educating your staff and have in-house sessions for sustainability and materials research.
So to join the movement, please, nope. That one slide that was pointing at you tells you to go to the website to become a member and help us keep the momentum going.